So we've got an interesting subject tonight. So when I pulled the cards at the weekend to see what was the healing that we needed, it was all around doing some ancestral clearing. So going into the Akashic Records, because that works really well. The Akashics doing it as a group. So going into the Akashic Records, but really looking at the ancestral line, where what is actually happening at this moment in time. Hey Shani, how are you? Hello Leanne. So November is, and I've got Julie here, so she's an astrologer as well. So Julie, feel free to type into the comments. I want this to be really interactive tonight as well. So please pop your stuff into the comments. I love it when we all come together. But what I'm going to do first is I've lit the candle. I'm just going to talk a little bit around the energies of November and what is happening. Because this will relate to the healing that needs to be done to support you in November. So November is all about being in this pivotal moment. It's a real powerhouse cycle this month. It's bringing in time that is bringing in lots of significant opportunities for transformation and self-empowerment. So this self-empowerment, taking back your personal power, etc., stepping into a new way of becoming and being, especially in moving into 2025, because 2025 is a year of 9 number. So 9 is a lot of it is around completion, because we've got to the end of a number 9. So with the healing tonight, with this ancestral, is in the ancestral line, but it's all around the invisible load. So I don't know if many of you saw what I was banging on about this week in the group and on socials. So November is a really powerful time for change and transformation, and we have the new moon tonight. So it's all about new beginnings, an invitation to really start to connect in with our own inner strength, our grit and our willpower. And that can sometimes bring challenges, because what it does, it teaches us to dig down and to hold a sense of energetic boundaries is probably the easiest way to say it. So challenges may come this month, right? But let's not look at them as challenges. Let's look at them as life lessons. And there's a real deep call for each and every one of us to show up confidently and to actually claim our spiritual gifts and start to really shine our light very bright, despite the shifts and life lessons and challenges that may be going on around us. So these shifts can be intense, but they also promise, on the flip side, a real sense of stabilization, urging us, right, to always remember to stay grounded in faith, hope and love, and stay away from fear. So a lot of you over October were really diving deep into this trust and faith, right? So we still need to hold on to that trust and faith that everything is working out for you, not to you, that type of energy, and stay away from fear. And sometimes in November, what you might find is that the lesson will come in really fast, or the trigger will come in really fast, where you've really got to go whack, okay, grit, strength, willpower, and just step into that. Stay away from the fear and step into that faith, hope, love and trust energy. I've already been tested this morning, so that was really interesting. And of course I wrote this afternoon, channeled it through and wrote it, and I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, I literally had to just go, this is fine, all is good. No, I'm gonna hold that energetic frequency of who I am and what I am. So that came in for me, and it's what, 1st of November already. But once you've done that test, it's not like a test that is going to be, oh, weeks and months, weeks and months. It could be 20 minutes and it's 20 minutes and it's done, 20 minutes and it's done. So it's fast paced this month. Well, we got a lot of air energy as well in this month, so it's bringing it in quick. So as quick as it comes in, as quick as it goes out. So this is all about us really tapping into our own sense of inner power and embrace the truth and the trust within us, and remembering that our own unique presence and what we can bring to the world. Okay, we're moving through deep soul lessons this year, and we're coming towards the end of this year, both individually and collectively. And actually what's showing up in the collective at the moment, leading into around like the 5th and the 19th of November, is this real control versus power, control versus power. This is the big thing that we're supposed to be letting go of at this time. And if we don't sort of really let go of it at this stage, it's going to come back around, I think, in January, and I think it might come around March, April time, I feel. So you might get tested again January, March, April time. So there's this releasing of control versus power. There's a really good book called by Dr. David R. Hawkins, and that is Power and Force. So anything low vibration is all about forcing, and then higher vibrations is all about power. But the power is from divine power, not controlling power, if that makes sense. So this is what's going to be shifting over this next month. And interestingly enough, I did a healing on a client yesterday, and for about 2 days after she booked in, I kept hearing her guides going, control power, control power, control power. And what she'd put on her pre-form before having the healing session, I was like, where the hell's this control power coming from? This just doesn't make sense. But then getting on the call and speaking to her, I was like, oh, control and power. She's like, what? I said, your guides were saying this in my ears all the time. So we did have a little giggle around that. So that was the healing that we needed to do, was this letting go of control and power. So it is around a lot of us, just so you know, because it's playing out collectively so that we can learn the lesson, but it also could be playing out personally. So it will come both ways. So we're moving through these deep soul lessons, but what we're looking at is that we're actually being asked to look of, you know, we've got this control and power, but on the flip side of control and power is not being the victim to this control and power. So we've got to let go of victim consciousness. We've got another layer to go of, this is happening for me, not to me. Because when it's happening to me, we're locking ourselves into playing the victim, and we're disempowering ourselves. Have you got that? We're disempowering ourselves. So don't play out victim consciousness. Please don't do that. We are looking at stepping into our power, and our power is, okay, I see this as a growth lesson. I see it as a deep soul lesson. This isn't control and power. This is a lesson, and I'm going to take my power back. Don't play the victim. So this means really stepping away. One of the archetypes that I see a lot around this victim consciousness is actually called the wounded healer. Because I work with a lot of healers, right? You do see the wounded healer come in. So we're being asked to step away from the wounded healer. And then obviously in November, we've got the Scorpio energy around us. So the Scorpio energy is the mystic. So we want to let go of the wounded healer, and we want to bring in that mystic. When you even hear the word mystic, what does that conjure up for you? Pop it in the chat, because mystic for me is just very powerful. I love the energy of the mystic. And actually this morning when I was doing my own healing, I connected in with the mystic archetype, and she was like straight round me, right into my root chakra and my sacral chakra, and it activated within me. So I was like, oh, I love this. This is really, really good. So move away from the victim, move away from the wounded healer, and really start to step into the mystic. So this month, really start to, you might find, because we've got this Scorpio energy and this like mystic energy, you might find that you need to go within. So when you go within, that mystic really takes you into sometimes like the shadow side of things. So if you're being pulled into the shadow side of things, go with it. Go with it, because in the shadows, you can uncover so much change, transformation and growth, right? Because we're going to look at it from a positive point of view, so that when you come out of that other side, there is so much more light. So, you know, look at, is there anywhere that there's lingering shame, lingering guilt, or any feelings of disempowerment? Okay, we might have to go there in order to shift and release it. And as we start to heal, it's always reminding you to bring in like forgiveness, to release these old wounds, so that we can step back into a form of empowerment and be able to transform our lives. Because when we transform ourselves on the inside, it has a ripple effect of it transforming on the outside. So November is a period that also is inviting us to do some ancestral healing, right? So that was interesting, because, you know, that was one of the original cards that I pulled for this healing today. So we're going to do the ancestral healing to help make this shift. Now, last night was Halloween. So Halloween has a very thin veil, where you can easily connect in with people from the other side. So when the veil is thin, we are more closely connected to the spirit world, but also being able to open up pathways to heal our lineage. So this is perfect for ancestral healing. So, you know, you can see why I was guided to do that. But also, right, when we heal ancestral lines, what can happen is our ancestors are completely really grateful. Because if we think about it, I don't know if many of you know this, so if we heal the ancestral line, right, going back the family tree, if we heal the ancestral line, they are getting that healing. So when they get that ancestral healing, it means their next incarnation is really good, right? So we're getting a big tick from the universe, thank you very much, right? And this ancestral healing, what happens then is that they're really, really grateful. And because of like the law of cause and effect, what you put out, you get back. So you're giving them this beautiful ancestral healing. What they're going to do is they're going to give you wisdom and gifts. So we're going to have this beautiful exchange of healing, but gifts. Healing, but gifts. Okay, so whatever you feel that your gifts are, or you need to call in, let's see, right? Now, 9 times out of 10, you ladies in this group watching me now, is a lot of you want to unlock spiritual gifts, okay? But it might be that you want to unlock, for instance, financial wisdom, right? It might be that you want to unlock love and intimate relationships. Maybe you had an ancestor that was a fantastic wife and mother, and you want some of that coding. So have a think, what do you want to call back from your ancestors? Okay, I'm just reading my notes here because I went a bit off track. So this healing from our ancestors is all about helping us strengthen us, maybe opening up to our spiritual gifts, but activating maybe a higher consciousness of true empowerment. So I said power dynamics are going to be a bit of the theme of November, and it's going to ask us, November is all about asking us to stand firm in our truth and sovereignty. Okay, so that is really looking at your core values, because you might be tested on your core values. Okay, because sometimes that can be like a life school tick to move on to your next growth lesson as such. And you're going to see power challenges moving out and about around the world. So you might see it outside of you, might see it, feel it inside of you, you might see it in your inner circles, but you might even see it in the collective as well. It's asking you to practice your healthy boundaries, to walk away from disempowering situations, and to really start to hold space for harmony for your path ahead, walking that path ahead. Lessons in power struggles may surface, including themes, individual versus collective. I've said that. As this energy unfolds in November, you might be invited to look at seeing and seeking truth. So shadow work might come up. I said that a little bit earlier. And then finally, what we're doing is, I reckon in the last quarter of this month, we are going to be looking at moving into this profound phase of regeneration. So embodiment, regenerating. We're being asked to let go of what no longer serves us, to break down the old structures and patterns in preparation for accelerated healing and rebirth. So some of you might feel like, and I know a number of you have felt like this year you've gone through the going through the ashes and coming out is the rebirth. I know I felt like that throughout this year. It happened a lot for me around the winter time, which makes sense because I'm quite attuned to like the I'm into like the witchcraft and the Wicca and the pagan and things like that, right? And that unlocked a hell of a lot in me when I studied medical intuition. It's not meant to, but it just did for me. So for me, winter here in Australia, it was very much, I felt I was going into the depths of the darkness, into the shadows. I was clearing stuff. I was quiet. Oh God, I went through a really big shift. But now we've like hit spring, coming into summer. It's all like, whew, it's all coming up. And I know that we're in Australia in this time, so we are in that spring and that rebirth. But it really depends how you naturally follow that cycle. I know in the UK you're going into that autumn, so you're going into that hibernation period. So it really depends where you're plugged into as such. But yes, we are going to go through a rebirth, and we need to recalibrate. So that recalibration for each and every one of us is going to look different. So if you need to be quiet throughout this month to be able to rest and recalibrate, you need to rest and recalibrate. I know a lot of people have had, peaks and troughs with illness and sickness. Especially over that eclipse period, a lot of people were struggling with colds, with sinus headaches, with pressure, migraines, because it was all that third eye was being opened and activated within a lot of people. A lot of people were getting, that dizziness, pains in their head, their neck. Everything was starting to like being pulled and shifted off of you. So you might find this month that you might need to go within, do some inner work, and then recalibrate. But just know that it's going to be stabilizing on the other side. So that's where we are from an energy point of view. Has anyone written any? Hello, Penny. Good evening, Natasha. Hey, Jane. Hello, Rochelle. Hello, Chloe. Melissa, hello, gorgeous. I've said hello to Shani. Hello, Alice. Wendy, I've said hello. Julie, Cara, yes. Just making sure I've got everybody. Nicole, good evening. Wow, explains why my soapbox has been getting lots of use over the last. Okay, so you've been giving yourself a good washing it all off. Yeah, I'm feeling the need to go in and hibernate a little. Yeah, absolutely. So that's just giving you a bit. I've actually written that out, and it's going to go out into the everybody on an email tomorrow morning, so you can read it. Oh, Shani's got all the love hearts. So that's where we go energy wise. So obviously what I did last week, I was like, okay, what does everybody need to help support them at this time? So it was around this invisible load. So we have got transformative energies, okay, and we've got this thin veil that's there, so we're going to use that to our advantage. But what I want to talk about is a lot of us have dreams and ambitions, right? But unfortunately, we get blocked. We get blocked. And what actually I channeled through, and I was actually seeing it in a number of my private clients over the last few weeks, and I was like, you know what I need to do? We need to do a healing around this invisible load. So the invisible, some people call it the invisible load. You can Google it. There's loads of like TED Talks on this on YouTube and things like that. So there's the invisible load, there's the emotional load, there's the physical load. So we carry a lot of loads, just put it that way as women. But the invisible load is what blocks us, blocks our dreams, is a barrier to our dreams. So what do I mean by the invisible load? The invisible load is all the jobs that we should be, could be, must do, what we do as women. So this was something, now I'm older, I understand it, that I look back and at certain pivotal points throughout my life, I'm going to say, like, I activated more invisible loads onto me, right? So for instance, when I moved in with now my husband back in the day, it's this proving energy. This is where it comes from. So it was that, oh, well, I wanted to play house, right? So, I had a full-time job. I worked 3 late evenings a week because I was teaching and training in hairdressing, but we still had to do late nights, and I worked Saturdays as well. So I worked really long hours, but I still loved doing everything in the home. And I'm a homebody, so I'm Cancerian, right? But I put a lot on my plate. When I became a mother, I put even more of this invisible load on me. And what it did for me was it actually made me quite ill and quite sick, right? That's where it manifested in my life as illness, sickness, yeah. But I still managed to make sure that the house was clean every day, the kids, clean school uniform, everything was ticking along, but I was a bit of a hot mess, right? But also it bred a hell of a lot of resentment in me because I wasn't filling my cup first, right? And it comes down to this invisible load, and it's an invisible load and an emotional load. And I'll share with you something, quite personal, that even my first Mother's Day, and I'm very blessed to have children, and I realise not everybody does have kids, but my experience of a Mother's Day was actually not enjoying my first ever Mother's Day because I put myself with this invisible load, right, wanting to be accepted by my mother-in-law, wanted my mum to turn around and say, my mum would be like, what you on about? Turn around and say, oh, Claire's doing a really good job of being a mum and blah, blah, blah. I had both mums for Mother's Day. I was in the kitchen, I was doing all the cooking, I was washing up, and everything was just perfect. But actually deep down, I just wanted to cry. I really wanted to cry and go and hide myself in the room because I wanted some people to do stuff for me, right? But I couldn't voice it. And like Andrew would say to me, well, I would have done all that. You didn't have to do that. And Andrew's like really easy going around that sort of stuff. But I wanted to put that on my shoulders, right? And I did this a lot throughout my life, and it leads into the archetype of the caregiver, the people pleaser, the overgiver, right? But deep down, what I wanted was to be acknowledged and validated and loved. But it ain't going to be coming from anybody else, right? That acknowledgement, that validation, and that love doesn't come from outside of you. It comes from inside of you. Does this make sense? Yes, you need to block yourself from invisible loads. Yeah, absolutely. But we just naturally do it. And you know where it comes from. It comes from the ancestral line, right? Because when we go back hundreds and hundreds and thousands of years, right, the divine feminine, the feminine was, doing the wifey things, doing the mother things, etc., right? So this invisible load, it can prevent us, and we can use it to our benefit. In all fairness, we can use it to our benefit. Everything has a benefit. You know, oh, I've just got to put the washing on. Oh, I've just got to do the dishwasher. No, I'm not going to come and sit with you. No, I'm not coming to bed early. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, because I've got to do this and they need it for school in the morning, right? Okay, I think you get my drift. So we can use it to our advantage, but it also can be a disadvantage as well. And this was probably one of the biggest things that I really had to dig deep and let go, because, you know, it was like my working day. So when I came to Australia, the kids were still quite young, so I opened another business up, but I still had to take the kids to school, pick them up, so I had to fit everything in around this, and this. So I was still doing like a full-time role as mother, right? Because I didn't have any support over here. But I still, in those hours, I was still working and I was still, you know, doing this, doing that. And I felt like I needed to. I wanted to prove something, right? And what does that do? It leads to burnout, sickness, illness, whatever, and resentment. So, you know, I knew that when I wanted to build my business even bigger, I had to pull up my big girl pants, have a deep conversation with Andrew and say, look, I can't clean the house, I can't do all the ironing, I can't do all the shopping and take the kids every day and build a business and build it even more to what I want to. Something has to give. And it was me letting go of, you know, control of, you know, because I liked doing everything. I was a bit of a control freak as well. But even when I moved into this business, right, I knew that I needed to put the hours in, because not only was I building a business, I was also learning the spiritual arts. So I had to be really, really smart with my time. And I've had to let things go. Like Andrew has to do the cooking every night, right? And we sort of share the invisible load out. And you know what? Sometimes he does get pissed off, in all fairness, and sometimes I get pissed off. But we do try and share the invisible load. And obviously the kids are a lot older, so they help to share that invisible load as well. But I wasn't going to allow it to stop me, and I sure as hell wasn't going to allow it to build lots of resentment in my body, because I've been there and I've done that, and that isn't healthy. So, you know, the invisible load is understanding that it actually is all about, it can breed stuckness and unfulfillment. The invisible load can amplify in different life areas of transition, right? So as I said, you know, from becoming the so-called girlfriend wife living with Andrew, that's where it kicked in with my it being a mum as well, this extra invisible load. But we also need to look at releasing guilt as well. And what this invisible load does is that it fills our time. It's a great time waster and it's a great time filler. Because, you know, I might walk out of this, I mean, I'm renovating the house at the moment, but in order to be able to renovate the house, I've had to let the house keep cleaning go, right? Some areas are like, oh my God, the dust. But we're sanding tomorrow. We're sanding all the staircase back. What's the point of bloody dusting, right? But I've got to put my blinkers on and not even focus on it, because I still need the time to build and grow this business to the way I want to do it. I want to grow and learn myself, and I put that time in, and I have to let some of that invisible load go. It can actually make you lose your confidence, and it can erode your self-worth. So I'm just going to have a look. Hey Dawn, how are you? So I just want to ask a couple of questions. So pop this into the chat, because I know I'm obviously like coding you, and it's really, some of it might be bringing your stuff up, right? But just know that we're going to do some healing on the other side of it. So the more you put into like this coaching side of the healing tonight, the more you're going to get out of it. So where in your life are you allowing this invisible load? Because we are allowing it on some level, we are allowing it. And what did it allow me? It allowed me to get to a point where I got really peed off that I had a voice, and I stood up and I said, I'm not doing this anymore. This has to change. I want to make sure that my life is fulfilled, right? And I want to be doing this, and this. I don't want to be the slave girl archetype. Didn't come here to be the slave girl. But I put myself in the slave girl archetype. So what did it do for me? It actually got me to a point where I could stand up and speak my truth. Hey Marina, how are you, love? So yes, the invisible load, and the invisible load is like a dream stealer. Unfortunately, it's like a dream stealer. And sometimes, right, we can do the invisible load. Even, I know I've got some people here in business, we can actually do the invisible load within our business as well. So it can be, oh, you know, we could call it a bit of procrastination, but it could be, oh, well, I'll just be focusing on that. And I can do this handheld, hands up, honestly. I can be like, oh, well, I'll just waste time doing all of this. Whereas actually, that's not really going to drive my business forward. I need to be doing that, right? But I put an invisible load on my business to stop me doing the other thing. So where in your life, pop it in the chat, or just think, where in your life are you allowing this invisible load from? Yeah, it's learning what's important to you. Yeah, that's right. So what is the personal cost to you on your invisible load? What's it costing you, this invisible load? This invisible load basically cost me 10 years. I'll be honest with you, it cost me 10 years. Yeah, 10 years. Yeah, you can do it as both home and work, but it cost me 10 years. And if I look back, if I was, you know how you say sometimes, oh, if I could talk to my younger self, so if I could talk to my younger self in my 30s, like, because I'm nearly 50, if I could go back to that version of me in my 30s, and I don't resent it because I just didn't know, right? But if I could go back to my 30s and say, hey Claire, instead of this invisible though, this, what about if you took one day a week and did something that could move you forward, right? So for me, it would be, because I love all this stuff, right? It would be like doing a course. In fact, what I actually did do in that time period of in my 30s was I actually went back and I went to night school because Andrew was actually at home for a year. He didn't have, because he traveled, right? So my husband traveled. So on a Monday, he would leave and he would take 2 flights and he'd go to Denmark, and he'd be in Denmark on a Monday till 11 o'clock p.m. on a Monday night. So I was like single mum during the week. So I had to do everything, right? But that's okay, right? I did have a beautiful life, don't get me wrong. But he had a year off, and before we came to Australia, and I went back to night school and I studied my teaching in the lifelong sector. So I went and got all my qualifications to teach, right? Not teach in schools, but teach what I'm certified in. So back in those days, it was teaching like hairdressing, although I did teach throughout all my career, but I needed to get a job in higher education, which I thought I would do out here in Australia. You do need to have a official certification. So I went back and got certified in my teaching stuff. So That's what I did. And you know what that did? It actually opened up massive doorways of opportunities for me. It was amazing. So if I went back into my 30s, it would be like, okay, Claire, 1 day a week. And I still follow that rule of thumb today. I still follow it. What is it? 12, yeah, 38. I was probably about 37 at the time. Oh yeah, 37. Yeah, 10 years ago. I still follow that rule of thumb. So most Fridays, I am doing some form of personal development. So whether that is healing programs, put myself on a course, whatever, I have personal development days, because what does that do? It quantum leaps me and my business. So I have learnt this now. I am the best investment anyone could make. All right. I invest in myself. And I know a lot of people say that, but it's freaking true. It is true. So what is the personal cost to you of this invisible load? Okay, Shani, it's health. Yep. Too much seriousness. Energy depleted. Sense of not moving forward yet. Health. Yeah, all of you, it's health. It is health. It is health. Because what happens is we fill all our time with this invisible load. And sometimes, right, I don't know if you've ever caught yourself with this. I walk into the wardrobe and then I find myself starting to rearrange the wardrobe, and I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Claire, I give myself a good slap and I get myself out of there, and I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Go and get on with something that lights you up, right? Because what happens is this invisible load, and sometimes we add more to the invisible load and more to the invisible load, right? And then what does that do? It kills your life force energy. That's basically what it does. It kills your life force energy. It kills your spark. It kills your joy. And when you are not in your spark and not in your joy, you drop your vibration, you drop your energy. And then when you're in that low energy, what happens? Stuff happens. Okay, sickness happens. Sickness happens. Okay. So the first thing we need to look at is really acknowledging and naming the invisible load. Calling it out. Calling it out for what it is. Right? And how many times, I'll ask you, right, as one woman to another, how many times have you asked for help in that invisible load, right, and it doesn't get done? What does that do to you? That really can set you off on the dial, can't it? Yeah, you got... I told you, Penny, we are very alike. Donna Marie. That's okay. Yeah, watch the replay. I love Raging Against the Machine, Injustice Warrior. Yeah. Yeah, I'm a bit of a spiritual warrior when it comes to this stuff. So yes, what is it costing you? What is it costing you? So the first thing we need to do is we need to acknowledge it, what we're doing. So sometimes, you know, like take the situation that I'm in the wardrobe and then I decide to start sorting my wardrobe out, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm self-sabotaging myself, but I'm just adding more to the invisible load, right? So, you know, once you catch yourself, you realise it. What is really important, what I've learned over these years, is that you set intentions for your own personal fulfillment. So like me, on that Friday is my personal development day. So that personal development day might be, you know, me going and having my feet done, you know, like a little pedicure. It might be that I sit here and I go through my beautiful Akashic Oracle cards from Marina. It might be that I sit here and I do some healing on myself. It might be that I book a healing session. It might be that I do this. It might be that I do that. but I have 1 day a week, because what that does, and I know it sounds silly, like fills your cup, but it does really fill your cup. It gives you energy. It gives you energy. And then the other thing that's really key with this invisible load is breaking the cycles of self-neglect, because that's really what it is. All right, putting everything and everyone first. So if you look at everything and everyone, the invisible load is really tasks. It's tasks that need doing. So this is sometimes where you can have a wound where, like, for instance, you might say to your partner, or somebody, even a work colleague, you could say, look, could you draft me up that email? Let's use this as an excuse, as an example. Can you draft me up that email, blah 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 blah, and then have it sent back to me? And then they come to you and go, oh, what did you want me to do? And then you're like in that energy of like, oh, I'll just do it myself, right? That's an invisible load. It's more task. It's more task stuff, really. But it comes down to breaking the cycle of self-neglect. The other thing is what we're going to do tonight is we're going to look at the ancestral healing and where this program might be, because some of us, it can be so ingrained in us, and it's come from the ancestral line. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Incredibly familiar with the sickness in the room. And that's the thing, right? I have a lot of women clients that come to me, and they're like, okay, and it was the same for me, right? Okay, I want to work on business, I want to work on my abundance, I want to work on my money mindset, yada yada yada, blah blah blah. And actually, when I go in and because obviously I follow my guidance from my guides, and it might be, no, you can't work on her business, you can't work on her growth, because in that respect, because we need to look at her health and well-being. We need to look at this and this, because the worst thing that can ever happen, right, is that you're working, say for instance, on your business and your money, right, but you're burning yourself out. What use are you in that respect? You're not. And that wouldn't be a very good healer and an intuitive coach on my end, if I'm like, well, have you done this? Have you done this? Have you done this? This needs to be done. Let's heal this. Let's heal this. Let's heal your money blocks. But actually, what we need to look at is your health, right? Your well-being, your invisible load. Like, what are your patterns, right? I know you might be wanting to work on your money, but actually, have you got the energy to be able to put your work out into the world and actually service those amount of clients? Or, on the other respect, have you got the energy to take more responsibility at work and have that pay rise? All right. And a lot of it can come through the ancestral line. What were your ancestors like? So I'm going to just say a couple of other things and then we're going to get into it. So with the invisible load, what the healing needs to take place is choice. Choice. I'm just going to leave that one there for a moment. Choice. And we need to observe ourselves with this. Remembering that observation is actually a gift. Awareness is a gift. And I do talk about this a lot in regards to 80% of the healing is understanding your patterns and behaviours and then choosing again. I think Mel Robbins talks a lot around this. So observation of your patterns is a gift. And recognising those patterns reveal deep truths about yourself. And it can also reveal a lot about others as well. And I know I'm a mystic deep down. I choose not to be a wounded healer. I probably was a wounded healer back in the day, in my hairdressing days, because I used to take everything on. But I really love the energy of the mystic, and how the mystic really can see the pieces and then pulling them all together and seeing all the patterns and things like that. And an invisible load, and understanding that invisible load and that choice around the invisible load really does have a massive impact in your health and well-being. And some women don't even know when that invisible load is no longer there. So say, for instance, a lot, you know, sometimes when the kids leave home, or, you know, retirement, a lot of men have this in retirement, right? That invisible load, them going to work every day, that invisible load, you have an energy of like time and space. You have an expansive of energy, right? And a lot of people don't know what their patterns and behaviors should be beyond that invisible load. Does that make sense? So what do? They fill their day with more invisible load stuff. So really understanding your choice, because you have choice, you have free will. You absolutely have free will. And choice is a powerful force that shapes our human experience. Now, I know a few of you remember me talking about this a lot. One day I was sat there and I said to myself, I was having this like conversation with my higher self, and I thought, Claire, why do I always choose to do things like the shit way? Like, why am I choosing? I was having this like deep, literally a vocal conversation with myself. I thought, and I heard the message back was, because that's your choice. You know, this like smug, well, that's your choice, you choose that. And I thought, that's interesting choice. What if I wanted to choose things a different way? Well, that's your choice. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I started having this real in-depth conversation with my higher self, and a little bit of the ego as well. And I thought, okay, so what if I choose differently? What if I choose differently? So I'm going to invite you now to start to think about choice. What are you choosing to do? And I don't mean, well, I'm choosing not to do it. No, what are you choosing with holding on to this invisible load, with doing this invisible load? Is it because you don't have to do X, Y, and Z on the other side of it? And that's normally sometimes it. If you didn't have the invisible load, what would you be doing? And is there a part of you that fears that? Is there a part of you that's afraid of that? Because what's on the other side is a big stretch and a big growth. So if I didn't have this invisible load, what would I be doing? I'd be doing this. And if I look back prior, I'd poop myself. In all fairness, if someone said to me 10 years ago, you'd be doing this, you'd be doing this, you'd be doing that, I'd be like, no way, no way. Like, I seriously wouldn't even, I just remember when I first started my hairdressing business out here in Australia, you would never have seen a photo of me in the salon. You know, I take pictures of my clients, but you wouldn't see any of me, right? Look at me now. I have videos of me and stuff like that. Yeah, that's how far I've come, right? That's how far I've come. Yeah. So we have the choice. We have the choice. We have the choice. But historically, women didn't have a choice. There was times where we didn't have financial freedom, we didn't have the right to vote, and we had control over marriage and divorce. So that's where it will be coming from on our ancestral line. And today we are privileged that we do have that choice, because choice empowers us. Choice is authority. And choice is a transformative force that can reshape your life. But it starts with choice. I choose. I choose again. I choose again. And Caroline Myss, I love Caroline Myss. If you don't know her, she's a mystic. She's a spiritual teacher, mentor, and a medical intuitive as well. But she talks about choice a lot. And she talks about big choices, choices that matter. And you might think like getting married, changing jobs, moving interstate, moving homes is actually a big choice. But it's not. She says it's not. It's not a big choice, right? It's actually the small, insignificant choices that we make that you think is insignificant is actually the big choice. I'll give an example. Putting the dishwasher on, making sure that the bed's made before your husband comes home from work. The bed is not made. Right. I do put the dishwasher on. Right. Because I came up here and I was working on myself. I've done an interview. I'm doing this. Right. That I'm not making the bed. Right. Might seem like an insignificant choice, but it's actually a big choice because I choose me. I chose me. I chose me. Does that make sense? Look at that big smile on my face. I chose me because I'm important. Okay, and what I do and how I show up is important. Not making the bed. I'll run down and do it in a bit. It's fine. But it's those insignificant choices that actually are sometimes the big choices. And I want to say that sometimes we approach healing and change and transformation that we think, is that healing session really going to make a difference? Is that listening to that meditation going to be a big change in my life? Yes, it is. It is. Because what that does is it starts momentum. You start working with the law of momentum. So making those small, what you might think insignificant changes, I'll take that supplement today. That's not going to be a big change. But that little change can have big impact. And often these smaller choices, by prioritizing us, our self-care, saying no to unnecessary burdens, setting boundaries, really start to define and shape our destiny. And I'm going to leave you with this thought before we get into the healing, is that I want you to really trust yourself and start to embrace your personal power. Because with choice becomes the importance of trusting ourselves, making the decisions that free us from that invisible load. It does. It requires trust and courage. So I just want you to take a pause for this year. What decisions do you want to release? reflect on the decisions that you've made this year or through your lifetime, where these invisible loads, emotional loads, physical loads, have filled a void. Because we often allow this load to fill the spaces within us, sometimes consciously, unconsciously, because it actually keeps us safe and secure. So at this moment in time, what voids does this invisible load fill in your life? So for me, what it filled back in the day was a sense of self-worth and importance and being needed. And I want you to allow that you look at these patterns without judgment of yourself. Because the invisible load can be protective in some ways. I choose me now too. Yes, I did choose me. Yeah, Caroline Mace is a legend. Release the invisible load. I have using them all this year, which in turn stopped me to move forward. Yeah. So why are you allowing it to stop you moving forward? Is there a fear? Okay. Where have I gone? I can't see me. I can see the chat now. There we go. That's better. Didn't know it did that. Okay, good. Great. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the Akashic Records and we're going to go in and have a look at our ancestral line. And you might want to call in an ancestor. You might want to have a conversation with this ancestor where this ingrained invisible load that's blocking you. You might go into the records and it might not have anything to do with the invisible load, okay? But just let's set the intention that we go into the records to find this block, this pattern, this behavior. It might be that we go into the records and we pull up the information of why are you using this to your benefit? Because that can happen. So there might be, a number of different things that might get presented to you. So whatever you become aware of, that's perfect. All's perfect. So it might be a pattern and a behavior that's ingrained, that's come down through the ancestral line. It might be that you see a patterning of why you're using this. Is it a fear? What are you getting from it? Because like anything, right? Awareness is healing in itself. Is there anything else that you want to know while you're in the records? Set that intention. So just pop that into the chat. What do you want to go into the records for? Let's set the intention. What do you want to find out? So if you pop it in the chat, at least I can see. You can put it in the replay as well. #replay and the information, because what you're doing is you're just setting up the intention. Okay, well, everyone's just writing that in the chat. Now, obviously, I can support you more outside of this healing event. So, if you need to look at healing a lot of resentments, rejections, regrets, that's one thing that really shows up for a lot of women that really struggle with moving into the future, to the future version of themselves. It can really show up as really holding on to the past. It can manifest as a lot of weight gain. It can manifest as a lot of sickness, disease, fatigue, burnout. If you don't know how to make decisions for your future, right, then I do have a program called the Self-Love Program. So there is a link that is pinned to the top of this program, to the top of the comments. So the Self-Love Program was designed, it is based on Theta Healing, this program. So it was based on women that really wanted to get their vibrancy back, really start to make shifts and changes in their life, learn to let go of the negative self-talk, the negative thinking, really wanted to start to take empowermentship and ownership of the next stages of their life, but really letting go of past conditioning of they're not good, you know, I'm not good enough for this and I'm not good enough for that and I can't do this and I can't do that, you know, all that negative self-chatter. The self-love program, we work a lot on. Module 1 is looking at all releasing the beliefs around alcohol, weight, because we put weight on as a sense of protection as well. So that's module 1. And then we go through and we do a lot on resentments. We do a lot of rejections, because, you know, one thing that we fear moving forward in our life is because we might get rejected, or we might get criticized, or we might get judged. And that builds up the resentment. So this invisible load fits really well in the self-love program. We start to really look at recoding you with a positive mindset, a positive outlook. Instead of I could never do that, is like I bloody well can do that, and I'm going for it with both barrels. So it really does shift you out of one, how you see yourself, to how you should be seeing yourself, and really stepping into that positive version of yourself and moving forward. So that's really what the self-love program is all about. It's eight modules, lots of intense healing and lots of mindset recalibration with meditations in there. So that's all around the self-love program. The other thing that I can do and support you with is, and I don't offer this very much, is an Akashic Tarot reading. So I tend to use the karmic cards, but what we do is that we look at an overview of where you are and what the cards are showing us, the tarot cards, in order to clear some karmic blocks and help you to step into a life that is more flowing as well. So that's also there. I don't really tend to do much with that. I tend to offer those just with my private VIP clients, the tarot readings. It's something that I'm going to be starting to do a lot more next year, because I do have the lovely Akashic cards from Marina as well. And then the other thing that I've popped in as well, because I know a lot of you are in this group and you want to know, how does she use the pendulum? How does she do this? How does she do that? How does she like open up her channeling skills? And, you know, wants to understand more around how I do this and how I do that, and lots of other things. Everybody asks me different questions. But there is the applications for the private one-on-one School of Mastery. So that is me teaching you my skills. I'm doing it privately rather than in a group, because I know that I have different skill sets in my community. So I tailor make with what you want the outcome to be, and then I write the program, and we follow a synced route. Synced, is that the right word? A set route in what you want to achieve and what you want to have as an outcome. And it might be that you want to, you know, do more skill set and more skill set and more practice, right? Or it might be that you want to learn a certain technique of mine, and obviously I will do that. So, you know, I actually have 2 people on the program at the moment, and one wants one sort of formula and the other one wants another formula. And I quite like the way that doing it privately, it means that it's completely bespoke and it's tailor-made for what your needs are. So that is by application only, and there is a link in the pinned comment for you to book in a private conversation with me. It's an application, so we get on a call and we have a chat to see what you actually need and what your skill set you require. So that is there. So that is all pinned to the top. So there's the self-love, there's the tarot reading, and there is the application for School of Mastery. All right, let's have a look at what you've put. Chloe's put, what my inner child needs me to nurture so I can release the emotions I need to move forward. Chloe, have you done any inner child stuff before? Because inner child work is really interesting. I actually like inner child work, and a lot of inner child work stuff is coming up for a lot of people at this moment in time. I think I've got about 6 clients on the go with inner child. We're doing deep inner child stuff, because it can go back to wounding. Okay, Melissa, to release needing invisible loads. Yeah. To release needing invisible loads. To refill feeling accomplished. Yes, worthy. Yeah, justified. Or avoiding looking inwards and improving my self-worth. Yeah, perfect. Penny, to find out what is stopping me and letting go of the invisible load and procrastinating. Yeah. Yeah, the inner child stuff. So I would look at this, Chloe, going into the records, right? I would look at let me just tune in a bit more. I'm just going to talk a little bit, just a few minutes around inner child stuff. So inner child stuff is that you've got lots of different versions of the inner child archetype within you, right? So we can have the magical child, we can have the good child, we can have the good girl, we can have the good boy, we can have the wounded inner child, we can have the magical child. There's lots of different versions of an inner child, right? So inner child healing, to be able to go there, right, you need to feel really safe. So what I would look at is going into the records, safety. I would look at safety for you. It's not really related to like the invisible load, in all fairness, but where you can look at safety. But with inner child healing, right, you do need to feel safe and be with the person that you resonate with. That's really, really key, because that will give you a really great outcome with the inner child healing. Inner child healing is about you connecting with that inner child, and that you come back for her or him. It really depends on how that inner child shows up. How you present as an inner child, the inner child, how it will present to you may be different to how it presents to a mother and how it presents to a father. So it might be that you need to, and sometimes inner child healing is a multifaceted thing. It's not, it can be a one and done, in all fairness, depending, but it will be sometimes that we need to connect in with the inner child to look at what was going on in regards to the mother, what was going on with the father, what it was going on with, you know, somebody else, etc. but it is that coming back to the inner child. It is the most beautiful. I'm going to set the intention that it's the most beautiful healing. It's not painful, right? It's actually very, very, it's very, very healing in itself, and it is the most beautiful experience to witness someone reintegrating with that inner child. But that inner child is what needs healing, okay? And it's about you witnessing it. It's not about you reliving it. And I think that's probably where you're fearing not going there, is that you fear that you might be reliving certain situations in this life or any other lifetime, because it can actually be, you can actually bring up a past life inner child. Really depends. But you set the intention that the healing of the inner child is done in the most loving, gentle, easiest way, and then that inner child will come, that one will present itself. But I think probably where I'm tuning in with you is that you feel that you are going to have to relive traumas and pain in order to heal that inner child, and it's not like that. It's not like that at all. Sometimes it can be. Depends. That's why you want to work with someone that you really resonate with, that has a great energy that you feel safe with, because that's where the magic happens. And it's about taking that inner child on a beautiful healing journey and allowing that inner child to release what it needs to release in order to heal. And when I trained with Sky Akamesis for medical intuition, she gave us the tools and techniques to do a beautiful guided healing meditation all around the inner child. So yes, you it's not about having someone that it like necessarily niches in it, but it's about how you connect with someone. I would say that I would rather choose someone to heal me with my inner child that I felt really safe with and trusted, rather than someone that's probably done 10,000 inner child healings. Does that make sense? Because yes, you do want someone that's got an understanding of the inner child, but you want to feel really safe, because that's what you need to give the inner child. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So when you're ready, that was a glitch. I want you to just take a pause, take a breath. Obviously, don't be listening to this channeled healing if you are driving or you are operating machinery, okay? So we're going to set the intention that you're going to go into your Akashic Records, okay? And we're going to call in your angels and guides of 100% love and light. So you are going to vocalize in this healing, just so you know. So just breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. And you're going to listen to my voice as your guide as we journey into your own Akashic Records. So we're going to set the intention with what you put into the group, into the chat. And we're going to ask, in Divine Source, love and light, we request our angels, guides and masters be with us now to support us in accessing our Akashic Records, and the Akashic Records of, state your full name out and your name at birth if it's different, your date of birth, your place of birth. And we ask that all answers are given to us in divine truth, love, light, authenticity, from a place of neutrality. Thank you, it's done, it's done, it's done. And I want you to feel this beautiful earth energy coming all the way up from the soles of your feet to the top of your head, lighting up your base chakra like a star, your sacral chakra like a star, your solar plexus lighting up like a star, your heart chakra lighting up like a star, your throat chakra lighting up like a star, your third eye lighting up like a star, and your crown chakra lighting up like a star. And then just pulling all that earth energy all the way up and allowing your whole energy body, your auric field, all the layers to take up space and light up like a star. And you're going to feel your angels and guides and masters. We're going to call in Archangel Metatron to support you and take you into accessing your records. So I want you to see a purple, however you want to see, sense, feel, know, a purple portal of light being brought down and just placed in front of you. And there's a doorway in this purple portal of light. You're going to step into that doorway and you're going to go through that beautiful purple portal of light like a corridor, and as you walk along it's just lighting up like a star. Sorry, my dogs are barking. Hang on, I need to go see what they're up to. Just bear with me. Just keep walking through that purple portal of light. Sometimes they can sense things. Okay, so just walking through that purple portal of light. Till you get to the end of this purple portal of light. And you're going to see a big old doorway. And on that doorway, you're going to see your full name now, your full name of birth, if it's different, your date of birth, your place of birth, and you're going to run your right index finger along the carving of that door, and you're going to see that carving light up like gold lettering. And as it all starts to light up like gold, the door opens up, and you're going to walk in, all the way in, and hear the click of the door behind you. And now we've set the intention that we could call forth our ancestors. So just take a pause, take a breath, and just feel the energy of the room. So you might, depending on your psychic sense, whether you see, sense, feel, know, listen, who's there? Is it one ancestor? Is it plenty of ancestors? Who's there to greet you? And you might start to feel like there's this thin veil of smoke that just opens up and this ancestor walks forward. So first of all, male or female? How old? What are they dressed in? And they invite you to put your hands out, and they're going to hold your hands, and they're going to transfer energy through, like information, wisdom and knowledge. So if you're not picking anything up, don't worry about it, okay? The information's still coming through, and it will drop in within the next 24 to 48 hours. What does that ancestor want to share with you? And is there any forgiveness that needs to take place? What do you need to forgive them for? How is this affecting your lifetime in this lifetime? What made you take this on? What did you need from this ancestor? What are you learning? What is it making you forget? This invisible load that you've taken on part of this ancestral line. What are you trying to block out? What do you really need to see? What are you trying to forget? Is it related to self-punishment? I keep feeling self-punishment around. Are you being validated? Is that what you're looking for? Validation? You're trying to help validate the ancestor to step forward. What's the link? What's the link between you two? You might even see a link from your solar plexus to theirs. So look down, touch the link. What's there? There might be a big lock between the two of you. Why is that lock there? What's pinned? Is there a label pinned? Ah. Is there a label of laziness pinned to both of you? Who called you lazy? Who called you that you won't amount to anything? Is that there? Might be, might not. Where's that program of, if I do it all, I will be successful? If I do it all, I will be what? Rewarded? Acknowledged? If I do it all, I will be what? Finish the sentence. What other information needs to come through? Is there anything? So can we call in forgiveness? Let's just call in lovely, juicy forgiveness. And let's just start to think about the choices we make. What choices, what healthy choices do you need to place back into your records? Okay, just see that starting to shift nicely. So with your permission, you just need to say out yes out loud, or yes in the chat. Can we make those choices? Can we make those changes for you? We allow your guides to come in and help you with that. And can you allow your guides to shower forgiveness over to all the ancestral line? Just need to say yes out loud. Is there anything that you need to say to the ancestor? Is there anything from the ancestor that you need that's going to help support you? Maybe they need to hand something over to you. Are they handing over an item? Maybe it's a book. Okay, and then so take that item, might be a word, and now I want you to imagine that you're placing it into your present day lifetime book. Feel like you're stamping your book, placing it right in there, and I want you to see it in that book, either an image or a word, but but witness it. Okay, you're going to feel the energy shift and change. And we're just going to allow beautiful white light energy to come in now, Christ light. And it's just going to go into your Akashic chamber, your room. You might feel that you want to invite, with your permission, this beautiful white light into your body as well. When you're ready, you're going to thank your ancestor. And they're going to step back behind that veil and you'll see them walk away. And when you're ready, you're going to close your Akashic book. Make sure that you witness it going back on the shelf. Then you're going to come out of the room, and I want you to imagine that you're closing the door shut, and you state out loud, "I now close my Akashic Records." And then you're going to walk back through that beautiful purple portal of light, and you're going to feel like you're going to start to come back into your body. You're starting to become aware of the room that you're in, listening to my voice. You're going to feel and pull earth energy all the way up again, all the way through your chakra points to the top of your head. And you're just going to close everything down. And we're going to just put a beautiful violet flame around you, so anything that needs healing, cleansing or clearing can do that for you, and that you're in a bubble of protection. I want you to just breathe in and breathe out, and then open your eyes and come back to me. And then I just want you to grab your hands, one hand behind, one hand in front, and you're going to rub your palms of your hands together, and you're going to do that. So you're just energy breaking from me and the group. Okay? So one hand behind, one hand in front, rub like that. Okay, do that. So that will help to ground you. Okay. How do you all feel? What information did you get coming through? Mine was quite interesting. I actually had a male ancestor come through in this black suit, dark hair, and the suit jacket was really long. It was like the length of like a Bridgerton jacket. But yes, he actually gave me a book in the end. But I was quite interested that it was a male that stepped forward, and it was this energy of like having to just constantly be in the masculine energy, do. That was, yeah, it was really like, and it made so much sense of that I'm so driven, like, so it's a good thing, but it also, I don't know sometimes when I need to switch it off, right? So he did actually give me this book that I needed to put in, and I understand what the book's about for me going forward, and it will be like life and business related, I know that. But yeah, it was really interesting. I wasn't expecting a fella to come through, this ancestor. Yeah. Melissa, you got all the feels and the tingles in your body with that one. Good, good, because you're clairsentient, Melissa. So you get all the feels, you're sentient, your senses. Okay, how's everyone going? And I just witnessed for everybody that forgiveness was like basically sprinkled all through your ancestral line. Forgiveness, 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 forgiveness. So how do you feel now about choice and this invisible load? I definitely feel I personally feel a shift. Is everyone back? Penny, grandmotherly lady wearing really old clothes, working clothes. It was very emotional. Gave me the word courage. Mine was my grandfather. There you go, representing all the males who taught us we must work hard. Yeah, similar to me, Nicole. Definitely. Ah, my nana came through. Just so much love pouring into me. There you go. And how pouring. Oh, proud she is, and always has been, showing me that I am showing me I am love, and it's safe to let love in and trust people, but to still be discerning. Yes. And she gave me a big squeezy hug like she used to. Just her big smile, also letting me know Mum did her best and to forgive. There you go. There you go. That's lovely, Chloe. I think that's really quite healing for you. I think that's going to really sort of like come into you quite deeply over the next few days, and let those feels happen. Hey Dawn, you fell asleep. Yeah, free to let go of the invisible load. Yeah, I'm just like, when I sit there and I think about it, I'm just like, yeah, yeah. Yes, forgiveness, burdens released for everyone, tiredness, mimic a lady from another era, big hat, then dad. Gift was a massive love heart. Wow. So you get a love heart and I get a book. Maybe mine was a spelling book for my dyslexia. Probably a dictionary. That's what my dad would say. That's what you need, Claire. In dictionary. Oh, funny. Anyway, I hope that's brought everybody a lovely sense of peace with that. But whatever the symbol or the sign was, we obviously need it. We obviously need it as an anchor into our records. So after this, you might feel like in the next couple of days, please drink plenty of water. You can come back and visit this at any time. It will be on my YouTube channel. Yeah, please drink plenty of water. You might want to journal, okay, because the information might still be flowing over the next couple of days, because not everybody can pick up on stuff straight away. You've got permission to let go of the old beliefs. That's nice. That's really nice. Yeah. And, you know, just be really kind to yourself. Be really kind. And you might get tested. You might get tested to see how you feel about stuff. Yeah. I feel quite floaty, so I've obviously let go of a bit of that masculine energy, and I feel like I'm a bit more floaty. So it'll be interesting as I go down the stairs, and I know I've got a few little jobs to do. I've got to go and feed the dogs, but I feel like I'll be floaty around, like doing jobs, not this like, oh, I've got to do this and oh, I've got to do that. You know, that I feel that's quite masculine energy. I'll be like, just do this, and I'll just do that. So tomorrow we paint. I'm painting and stripping the stairs. So let's see if that makes me more floaty. But anyway, there we go. So don't forget, I've pinned, if you would like to apply for private training whether you'd like to step in and do more deeper work with self-love. I would love to be able to help you. And if you would like an Akashic Tarot session, I would love to do a reading for you and clear some karma out of those records and see what is going to be presenting for you over the next sort of 3 months, 3 to 6 months. Or even it might be something that you might want to look at, that you can set yourself up for success in 2025. We could do a end of year, start of year tarot session as well, and see if there's anything that needs clearing so that you can step into 2025 with more aligned ease and grace. And Chloe, if you want to have a chat about inner child stuff, if you'd like, if you feel that I'm the person that could support you in that, then please feel free to reach out. Okay, my love. Have an awesome weekend. Enjoy the new moon tonight, and yeah, new beginnings with that new moon. Sending you lots of love. Thank you for being with me this evening. I've really enjoyed it, and I've hoped you've enjoyed it too. Sending you lots of love.